5 people in quarantine in the high-density township of Alexandra, north of Johannesburg, after coming into contact with a person infected with the coronavirus. For more, let's cross to our reporter, Nozintombi Mia. Nozintombi, obviously this is a very worrying development. As I mentioned, Alexandra, a high-density area. Tell us about the genesis of this. How exactly did it happen?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Tsepi. So it certainly is quite concerning, the news that 5 people have been quarantined here outside the Stwetla Township, Stretcher section of the Alex Township. And you know, Tsepi, so we've been here in Alex for the better part of the afternoon, and we've seen how the developments of the news have progressed. And one of the big things that we saw was a heightened army presence. And it was at that time when news started filtering that there had been a confirmed case of COVID, where we started seeing the heightened army presence and people being stopped and stop blocks being conducted by the army. And we spoke to some of the residents here at the Stwetla neighborhood, and they said that they saw a police presence and health officials coming into the area to speak to some of the people who had been affected. And they knew nothing about this, and they'd not gotten any information. And upon speaking about it and then speaking to the Gauteng Health Department further, that's when they then confirmed that the gentleman who had been, held by the police in Limpopo, the police and health officials in Limpopo, because he had tested positive for this particular virus, had been the man that had come to this particular neighborhood. He was living here in Alexandra at the Stwetla Township, and he'd been in contact with 5 other people who are currently now being quarantined for their own safety. And this man, it seems as though he had gone for the test before he left Limpopo. He went for the test and had been told to be under self-isolation. And when the news of the lockdown, lockdown on Friday came through, he decided that he was going to try and cross the border and go to Limpopo. And this is the problem with regards to the spread of the infection, because not only did he take public transport to get from Alex to Limpopo, the health officials now will have to do a tracing to try and trace not only the 5 people who they've currently now found here in Alex, but all the other people that he's been in contact with in the public transport system getting to Limpopo. And this is really worrying, because it's about the issue of how this virus itself is spreading.
Okay. Nozintombi, let's first start with, who are these 5 people? Are they neighbors? Are they family? How did he get into contact with them?
So we understand that this gentleman was actually working in Johannesburg and living in Stwetla. And this is obviously not confirmed information. This is information that we got from the residents that we spoke to earlier today. And, what we are hearing was that this people who have now been quarantined, we got confirmation from the health department that the 5 people who've been quarantined have been in contact with health officials, and they will be in quarantine and in self-isolation. None of them are showing any signs at the moment. And if any 5 of them show signs, they need to make sure that they contact the health officials and the health department so that they can put them in isolation in a health facility here in Gauteng. So we do know that they are neighbors. They have been living in close contact with that particular man, Tsepiso.
So, Nozintombi, do we have any inkling as to how this man could have contracted COVID-19?
There's quite a number of stories and different versions of how this particular man could have contracted it. One version that we heard from the people here was that he got it from his employee who had traveled overseas. And other people are giving us different versions that he himself would have gotten it while shopping. So it's different versions that are coming out. The information is slowly trickling in as police and health authorities start to confirm the information as it comes through.
Okay, just a quick and final question. Obviously, we can see in the background, not as busy as usual, but it does seem like people are just carrying on as normal.
What was quite interesting was that earlier we went to one of the malls around here, And one of the people who was in the queue was saying that there's an absolute disregard of the issues of social distancing and hygiene issues with the people living in this particular area. And it's only in the malls and it's only in the public, in the spaces where they have to go to, like the malls or the shops, where they are, listening to what needs to happen with regards to the public social distancing and the hygiene processes that they need to follow. But in their houses, I'm going to ask the camera person here to just do a pan for you and to show you what's happening around us here. People are walking in the streets, the kids themselves. I'm going to walk out of the shot, Tippy. So as you can see that the kids themselves are walking around and they themselves are not following the rules of the quarantine. They're playing in the streets. They're not listening to the rules and regulations that they should be listening to. Everybody's outside and the army is struggling to really get people to comply with them and stay inside their houses, especially with the heightened concern around the 5 people who are currently in quarantine. And the street that we're in right now is Vasco Street, and this particular street is the street that leads down to Stwetla Township, and you can understand how authorities' concern is growing and how people's non-compliance, it really is frustrating the situation because the spread really is quite imminent and it is a very concerning situation, Tsipiso.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nozintombi. Nozintombi Mia, SABC reporter speaking to us from Alexandra.